Good morning, I'm Dick Schaap, and welcome to Sunday Sports Day, September 12th, 1993. An hour and a half of news, views, reviews, and previews, highlights and sidelights, cheers and jeers. 3 weeks left in the baseball season, and suddenly we have at least 3 real pennant races, and maybe even 4, as Montreal moves within 6 games of the Phillies. Robin Roberts is with us, as usual, to guide us through our opening segment, an abbreviated version of Sports Weekly. And Robin, could you have imagined a few weeks ago that by mid-September, of the dozen teams still with World Series aspirations, the Atlanta Braves might be the ones in the strongest position?
Sure, I could imagine that. It's only the 3rd straight year they've been the strongest team in the second half. And I know Barry Bonds is considered a lock for the MVP, but Fred McGriff is taking a bite out of that lead.
Well, I think down in Philadelphia, Lenny Dykstra has a bite on it, too. And I'll tell you, Dykstra does bite.
I bet you do know that. Nails. Well, heading into their game last night with the Padres, the Braves were 37-11 since acquiring Fred McGriff. All the Braves had to do last night was win their 5th straight, which would be their 26th victory in 31 games, and the NL West lead would be all theirs. For the first time since April 13th, John Smoltz had that slider working, getting Derek Bell, then Archie Cianfrocco, then Craig Shipley, the hat trick. 8 strikeouts for Smoltz. As for the offense, Fred McGriff connects for this 3-run blast to center, his 33rd on the year, and Atlanta reaches a top spot in the West. They cruise 13-1. Ron Gant matched his career high with 6 RBIs. John Smoltz with his 6th win in his last 8 decisions. As I said, he struck out 8. And the Giants continue to strike out. Earlier in the day, they lost to the Cards 3-1. Bob Tewksbury allowed 1 run in 7 2/3 innings to improve to 8-1 in 12 starts since the All-Star break. But nobody has been hotter than the Atlanta Braves since the break. Let's go back in time. July 22nd, the Braves were a whopping 10 games out of first in the NL West. The Giants, with Barry Bonds leading the way, seemingly had matters well in control. But since July 23rd, Atlanta is 25-3 on the road. The main reason why they are now on top of the NL West standings, the Giants have lost 4 straight and 5 of their last 6. Now, for the East leading Phillies and the Stros putting on a party dress a little bit early. Bottom of the 8th, 2-1 Stros. Mark Portugal facing Lenny Dykstra. He nails him with a changeup, one of his 7 strikeouts. Top of the 9th, 2-1 Stros. Steve Finley, a 2-run triple off David West. Andrew Hartson-Daniel comes home. Craig Biggio scores. Astros win 4-1. That's the final. Mark Portugal scattered 3 hits over 8 1/3 innings to win his 9th straight decision. Steve Finley drove in 3 runs. The Phillies have dropped 4 of their last 6. The surging Expos took care of the Reds by a final of 4-2 for their 5th straight win. Montreal has won 14 of their last 15, and the Expos continue to gain ground on the front-running Phillies. Only a half dozen games separates the two now. The Cards have dropped 9 back. The Expos play 3 against the Phillies Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in Montreal. The AL East remains very interesting as well these days. On Saturday, the O's' Ben McDonald took the mound against the A's, with Baltimore a mere 1.5 games out of first place in their division. 1-0 O's in the 3rd. Cal Ripken facing Bob Welch. He takes him deep to left center. Hindu is there. Dave Henderson. Great grab. He robs Cal and that fan. To the 4th, Chris Hoiles against Welch. He goes deep. Hindu is there again, but this time it's out a solo shot. O's up 2-0. Big Ben, tough all night, bottom of the 9th, 2 down. He gets Brent Gates looking. O's win by a final of 3-1. Big Ben's 5th complete game this season, and he has allowed 3 runs or less in 25 of his last 30 starts. Could the Yanks snap their season-high 4-game losing streak while facing lefty Chris Haney, who shut them out the last time he faced them? Scoreless in the 1st, and the Yanks explode. That's Jim Leyritz. Then Don Mattingly. Then Mike Stanley.
And look what the Yankees are doing. They're playing Yankee ball.
That they were. Top of the 2nd, sacks full for Don Mattingly. 2 out. He smokes his pitch to right. Single scoring Mike Gallego and Randy Velarde. That's it. Yanks up 5-0. They go on to win by a final of 12-5. Don Mattingly went 3 for 4 and drove in 3 runs. He's batting .385 with runners in scoring position. Randy Velarde added 4 hits. The Rangers went gunning for their 6th straight win, and they got it 7-4 over the Twins. Rafael Palmeiro homered and drove in 3 runs. The 6th straight win for the Rangers. They have taken 16 of the last 20 home games. So everything remains the same at the top of the AL East standings. The Jays still have a 1-game lead over the Yanks. The O's are 1.5 back. The Tigers drop 6 back. The Red Sox 7. To college football, beginning with Ohio State and Washington. The first meeting between these two since the Huskies routed the Buckeyes in 1986. We'll pick it up in the second quarter with the Buckeyes up 7-3. John Cooper rolls the dice. On 4th and 2, Bobby Hoeing connects with Joey Galloway, and he goes the distance. A 35-yard strike, 14-3, Ohio State in the lead, but the Huskies made some noise in the second. Under pressure, quarterback Damon Heward scrambles and hits Theron Hill for the 8-yard score, 14-9 after the missed 2-point conversion. But in the fourth, Butler, Benote busts the game open. A 49-yard touchdown sprint through a huge hole. 21-12 is the final, Ohio State. And Ohio State improves to 2-0, while the Huskies are now 1-1. Joey Galloway with 4 receptions for 104 yards. An SEC showdown in Knoxville in the first quarter. Heath Schuler will find Corey Fleming in the flat, and he takes it in from there 21 yards out. Tennessee leads 7-0. In the second, time winding down, Schuler with a pretty fade pass to Fleming in the corner of the end zone. 2 quick touchdowns at the end of the half put Tennessee up by 15. Eric Zier on his back for most of the game. Tennessee defense applying constant pressure. They win 38-6 for the second straight week. The Vols did not allow a touchdown, and Georgia is off to an 0-2 start in the SEC. And turning our attention to pro tennis and the U.S. Open, the final Grand Slam of the season. And as expected, women's top seed Steffi Graf found herself in another Grand Slam final. She bypassed the Australian due to illness, but won the French and Wimbledon. In yesterday's finale, Graf faced Helena Sukova for the trifecta, and she got it. It took just over an hour for Graf to win the 14th Grand Slam singles title of her career. Her record at the Open, 52-7. Men's semifinal action from Saturday. Second seed Pete Sampras served aces to win the first 3 points of the match and went on to take care of Alexander Volkov 4-3-2. By advancing to today's final, Sampras will officially regain the #1 ranking tomorrow. But first things first. In today's final, Sampras will face Frenchman Cedric Pioline, who ended unseeded Wally Massur's run. Pioline is 0-2 in his career against Sampras. And coming up later here on Sports Weekly, a side you often don't see of Pete Sampras. He may not be the most colorful guy in the court, but he's been called possibly the best since Rod Laver. We'll spend some quality time with Sweet Pete later. And coming up next, why Irish eyes were smiling yesterday. More college football action from Saturday, and the top-ranked Seminoles continue to prove why they're #1. On Friday, the Jays finally snapped out of their 6-game losing streak. When they continued their weekend set at Sky Dome yesterday afternoon against the Angels, they had a 1-game lead over the Yanks in the AL East. As we take a look around the league, Jays often flying in the first. Joe Carter takes Hilly Hathaway over the left field wall, a 3-run shot, part of a 7-running first inning. Jays win 9-5. Hathaway was gone after 7 batters. At Comiskey, White Sox fans believe their team is for real. Frank Thomas, he is the real deal. In the fourth, number 41 on the year, this one off David Wells. He drove in 2 runs. White Sox win 3-1. A rough day for the other set of Sox with a man on second. Tony Pena's pop-up. It goes off of Alvaro Espinoza and Albert Bell, who turns the double play. Tribe win 9-3. In Milwaukee, Brett Boone had a career best 4 hits, including this RBI single.
And a ground ball base hit into the hole.
Oh, I love that voice. Omar Vizquel comes home. Mariners led 4-0. Randy Johnson took care of the rest. He gets Pat Lishdash swinging. Mariners win by a final of 7-3. The Mariners are now 8 back. The Rangers, having won 6 straight, keep the pressure on the White Sox, whose lead remains 3.5. The Royals are 7 out. And more from the senior circuit. Bill Swift took his 6th crack at win number 18 yesterday as the Giants took on the Cards. The Giants in need of a victory, period, with the way the Braves have been playing lately, as they have overtaken them for first place in the NL West. 2 men on in the 8th for Barry Bonds. He lines to center, but Mark Whitten robs him. Lee Guterman, oh, he loves that. Dusty Baker, hates it. And Barry Bonds cannot believe it. Cards win 3-1. Anthony Young back in the Mets rotation, getting his usual support. Not much. Willie Wilson's grounder goes through Jeff Kent. Top of the 5th. Mark Grace doubles to the wall in right center. Ray Sanchez scores. Cubs win 4-3. In L.A., David Weathers, his second straight good outing. And he gets Jody Reed to hit the 6-4 3-DP. Weathers with 6 strong innings. Then in the 9th, Brian Harvey time blows the heater past Brett Butler, his 43rd save, and the Marlins win by a final of 3-2. No, we're not finished with college football just yet either. There's just something about the Fighting Irish when they play Michigan. They were considerable underdogs yesterday. The game in Ann Arbor attracted 106,851 fans, an NCAA regular season record, and they saw quite a game. Michigan takes the field for their showdown with Notre Dame, but Irish quarterback Kevin McDougal goes to the Wolverine defense for a 43-yard score. Irish win 27-23. McDougal with 2 rushing touchdowns on the day. Clemson and Florida State. Backup quarterback Danny Cannell passes to tight end Lonnie Johnson, and he breaks tackles. He's not finished yet breaking tackles, and he would score from 78 yards out. Seminoles roll 57-zip. Baylor and Colorado late first half. Cordell Stewart throws the Hail Mary, and the prayer is answered by Charles Johnson. He had 151 yards receiving. Colorado wins 45-21. USC and Penn State. John Robinson's team trailing Joe Paterno's team by 1. Trojans go for the 2-point conversion. Rob Johnson's pass to Johnny Williams. Look at that. It's ruled no catch. Penn State hangs on to win 21-20. Bama and Vandy in the SEC. Halfback Sherman Williams runs to his right, then lets it fly to David Palmer. A 63-yard strike. Palmer had a school record 217 yards receiving, tied rolls 17-6. Texas A&M and Oklahoma. Cale Gundy finds James Allen, makes a nice catch with a 10-yard touchdown. Sooners cruise 44-14. Texas Tech and Nebraska. Running back Damon Benning goes 45 yards for the score. He had 127 yards filling in for Calvin Jones. Huskers win 50-27. Maryland and North Carolina. Leon Johnson, he's gone 57 yards for the score. He had 101 of the Heels' 344 yards rushing. Heels win 59-42. BYU and Hawaii, 18 seconds left. The tie game, not anymore. Joe Herrick nails a 40-yarder. Cougars win 41-38. Then South Carolina and Arkansas, fourth quarter. Arkansas down by 5. Oscar Malone scores from 2 yards out. Razorbacks win it 18-17. San Diego State and California. David Lowry hits Marshall Faulk out of the backfield with a 25-yard touchdown pass. The Faulk only had 64 yards rushing. Cal rolled 45-25. Now for other college scores from Saturday. The magazine claimed that Joe Montana would end his career in a San Francisco 49er uniform. Montana quickly refuted SI's claim. And as Steve Levy takes a look back on the week, we see that Montana started his career with the Chiefs in grand fashion.
Joe Montana started his AFC career by completing his first 9 passes en route to a 3-touchdown performance in a 27-3 rout of Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it felt good to be back out there. It's been a long time, and it just felt good to be back on the field.
Emmitt Smith expected to be in Washington for the Cowboys opener against the Redskins. He wasn't.
If I was in court, so to speak, and I had to argue with the judge over why I should be paid a certain amount of money, I think I will win this case.
Derek Lassick, Smith's replacement, rushed for a respectable 75 yards on 16 carries. Mark Rippon threw for 3 scores, one to Art Monk that capped off a 99-yard drive as the Skins rolled over the Cowboys. Helena Sukova was an Open semifinalist in 1987 and a finalist in 1986. Both times she fell to Martina Navratilova. This year, Sukova got her revenge.
I feel maybe a little bit bad for her now, but I feel more happy for myself, so it just kind of overwhelms that.
Jim Courier had made the finals of every Grand Slam this year. Someone forgot to tell that to the 15th seed, Cedric Pioline, who shocked the #1 player in the world on Tuesday. Boris Becker's been on a downward spiral at the Open since winning the title in 1989. That trend continued as Magnus Larsson used every shot he had to upset the 4th seed. Hockey in September. In London, they were ready. We need more time. For months, Julio Cesar Chavez and Pernell Whitaker have been talking the talk. Friday, they let their gloves do the talking.
Now, I'm taking this as a victory because, as I said, the fans was going to be my judge for this fight tonight. And I think the fans, if you take a toll, it would end up 90% Whitaker, 10% Chavez.
In his Major League debut 2 years ago, Darryl Kyle was throwing a no-hitter through 6 innings, and manager Art Howe lifted him. Wednesday, Kyle did the same thing to the Mets. Howe left him in, and the Astros helped him out.
That inning was just unbelievable. You know, I made a couple good pitches, but they were a little up, and those guys are great hitters, and they're going to put the ball in play. And, you know, Cammy and AC made 2 of the best plays of the year.
A 1-2 pitch. Swinger and miss. Strike 3. A no-hitter for Darryl Kyle.
After his 9th inning error in Game 1 of Tuesday's doubleheader gave the Reds a come-from-behind victory, Mark Whiten made history in the nightcap.
Here's the pitch. Swing and a long one. Looks like he did it. 4 home runs for Mark Whiten.
I mean, you're going to be the highlight now on SportsCenter.
Well, I think I'm going to go home and watch it, you know, and maybe it'll put me to sleep, but I doubt it.
Next, Pete Sampras makes no excuses for his image.
I'm not going to change my attitude for the press or for making more money. You know, that's not really that important to me. You know, what's important is winning Grand Slam titles and winning tennis matches.
As shown live earlier here on ESPN, the Italian Grand Prix, that is Christian Fittipaldi. He flips over but lands on his wheels, and he was okay. To the action, Michael Andretti makes his move and moves into 3rd place. The leader for most of the race, Alain Prost's engine, dies with less than 6 laps to go, so his teammate, Damon Hill, wins his 3rd straight race. Michael Andretti, his 3rd place finish was his first ever podium finish in Formula One racing. His best finish before today was 5th at the Grand Prix of Spain, so he's making up for that slow start. Regardless of his outcome against Cedric Pioline in today's final at the U.S. Open, Pete Sampras will again be #1 when the new rankings are released tomorrow morning. Sampras is heavily favored to win his 2nd Grand Slam title of the year and the 3rd of his career. Now, nobody disputes his talent on the court. It's just that many wished more charisma surrounded one of the most explosive games on the tour.
Sweet Pete. He's liquid.
If you don't get it, you're not going to get it.
Anybody that has that kind of firepower.
Sweet Pete.
Sweet Pete Sampras. Just how good is this guy?
He's dangerous from the backcourt. He's dangerous from net. He's dangerous serving. You know, I mean, he has all the weapons that you need.
It's not out of the question for Pete Sampras to think that he could be the best player, you know, since Laver.
You know, Rod Laver is the greatest player of all time in my mind, and I'm a long way from that.
I look at Pete, and it looks like, you know, he did come from the old mold, so to speak, with his, you know, good shoulder turns on the forehand, the backhand, you know, setting up for the volley. His footwork's good. You know, I don't see any weaknesses at all in his game.
It is not his game, but his laid-back personality, which is most often criticized by a demanding tennis public. In the Nike generation, this means millions.
That's not me. That's not what I'm all about. You know, I'm not going to change my attitude for the press or for making more money. You know, that's not really that important to me. You know, what's important is winning Grand Slam titles and winning tennis matches.
Do you have fun out here?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy hitting the ball. You know, after, you know, taking 3-4 days off after a tournament, I really miss hitting the ball. It's fun. You know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't fun, and you know, I really enjoy playing. Let's see if I can get him.
This guy's so cocky. Unbelievable.
Go on! When people write and say, you know, the personality has gone out of the game, you know, I don't know what type of personality they're really looking for. You know, Eli Anastasi's got a personality, but I don't want to be going around, you know, flicking the whole crowd off.
Hey, it's not your own business. Keep the score and that's it, okay? One more time you look at me, I kill you.
I'll just go out there and be a gentleman, and that's what I'm all about.
I think they're used to a Jimmy Connors or a John McEnroe.
Keep your mouth shut out here.
Or an Eli Anastasi.
You shut up.
Peter's not that way. I think he says it rightly. He says his racket does all the talking.
I'm not the type of guy that's going to go out there and, you know, and talk to the crowd and, you know, be kind of a hot dog. That's not me. That's not Pete Sampras, and that's the way it's going to be. You know, I'm just more of an introverted guy, and that's the way it's going to be. Sorry, guys.
No need to apologize, Sweet Pete. At the mere age of 22, barely 22, he could win his third Grand Slam title of his career today against Cedric Pieline at the U.S. Open. Now, keep in mind, we'll be back in 30 minutes with the Sunday morning edition of SportsCenter. Chris Berman will be along with the big Super Bowl rematch. Can the Bills beat the Emmitt Smithless Dallas Cowboys? And Norm Hitzges has the inside scoop on Reggie White's first game against his old mates. That and a great deal more at 11:30 on SportsCenter, right after Dick Schaap and the Sports Reporters, which is coming up next as Sunday Sports Day rolls on. See you again in half an hour on SportsCenter.